Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
So I kind of wanted to make a message, a video message to Donald Trump and set him straight. Like this is somebody who can be redeemed. Like if somebody talks to him straight, like this is the way it is, maybe he can be reached. This is the way it is, Donald. Not all girls are ornamental objects. Not all girls are born blessed genetically. Not all girls have the right shape genetically. Not all girls have the right bone structure genetically. And not all girls have the temperament or the inclination or the desire to be an ornament in your mansion or whatever. Not all women aspire to be beauty queens. It's not that important to every single woman. And being beautiful and perfect isn't the big goal for a lot of girls. A lot of girls try to be beautiful because it's about fitting in. It's about trying to get asked to the dance or be popular. But most women, that's not their end-all ambition in life, to be beautiful, and a lot of them can't. Even if it was something they wish they could do, a lot of women can't because of the way they were put together, because of who mom and dad happen to be. They just don't have what it takes to be gorgeous, to be a fashion model or a beauty queen. They don't have it remotely. You criticize a beauty queen for having a few extra pounds and call her names. How do you think that makes people like, well, me? Girls who are like me, only they're young. How do you think it makes them feel? If you put down somebody who is beautiful just because she's, in your opinion, overweight, and she's still looks fabulous in a bikini, how does it make all the women feel who wouldn't even think about wearing a bikini? All the girls. I mean, when I was a girl, even when I was a young girl, I didn't wear a bikini. I wore a one piece and I wore shorts because I was very self-conscious. Because of my genetics, no matter how thin I got, I always had heavy thighs. You'd call me fat. Even when I was my proper weight for my height, you would have called me fat. You don't mince words. You don't say overweight. You don't say plain Jane. You say fat. You say ugly. You say old. You cut people down with the words you say. So I was going to put together a video like that kind of explained to him, because apparently he hasn't figured it out yet, that girls aren't much different than boys, and women aren't that much different than men. We all have our insecurities that we're trying to overcome. We're all trying to give our best effort. We're all trying to be the best we can be and be recognized and appreciated and accepted and maybe even loved. We're all hoping to be special. We're all trying to believe that we are. It's what little kids are told when they're little, that they're special, that they're unique. And I think everybody kind of goes through life kind of hoping that they are, that, you know, I know I have value. I know I have value as a human being. Okay, so the kids at school pick on me and they think that I'm too tall, or they think I'm too fat, or they think I'm too ugly, or maybe I have zits or whatever, and they pick on me. Well, I know deep inside that I'm special. Every one of us has that little voice inside. I know I'm special. I know I'm special. I don't care what they say. Donald Trump doesn't get that. Donald Trump doesn't understand that the plain girl on the chair on the sidelines at the prom wants to be out there, wants to be held, wants to be able to float to the music and feel beautiful. Yes, the plain girl sitting in the chair against the wall, she wants to be out there. She wants the spotlight on her just as much as any other girl. She wants to be valued and appreciated and loved just as much as any other girl. You are sending the message to those girls that aren't so beautiful, those girls who are awkward, and maybe they'll never be beautiful in your opinion, no matter what they do or how they change as they grow up. You're sending a message to those girls that they're just not beautiful, so they have no value. You fire people because they're not beautiful enough, like not being beautiful enough is somehow a crime or somebody's fault. Like this, it's something they can help. Somebody who works for you, who's giving their all and they're doing a really good job and they're working really hard, you're going to fire her because she's not beautiful enough. So the manager of whatever hotel has to hide her away when you visit, because if you see her, you're going to fire her because she's not beautiful enough. No matter how much she makes people at that hotel laugh and smile and feel good about themselves because she has a beautiful personality and she has a beautiful smile, it doesn't matter. If you look at her and you think she's not beautiful enough, you're going to fire her. You're going to fire her. Like on The Apprentice, where you have people coming in and competing to show which one of them is the most savvy in business. Well, if she's savvy at business, it doesn't matter. If she's not beautiful enough, you're going to fire her because she's not beautiful enough. You act like it's an affront to your existence that somebody's walking around not being beautiful enough. It's an affront. It's a crime. Why is she even on the earth? Why does she even dare to keep living? She's not beautiful. Why does she even dare to think she has value as a human being? She's not beautiful. That's the message. That's the message that you put out to children, to girls, to young women. And you tell older women, well, you're over 35. You've lost it. Whatever you had, it's gone now. You have no value anymore. You're too old. I was going to say stuff like that. I was going to make a video to Donald Trump and say stuff like that. But then it occurred to me after several days of trying to figure out how exactly to put a video like that together. It occurred to me, he's 70 years old. He is 70 years old. He's somebody's grandfather. That's how old he is. If he hasn't figured it out by now, if he's never figured out that people have value and that there's more to somebody than what they look like on the outside, he's never going to figure it out. When I was going through my divorce at the end of my marriage, I was going to the bar a lot, and there was a lot of old men sitting at the bar. Old guys, like 60s and older, sitting at the bar. And they weren't exactly attractive. They certainly didn't have very good personalities. And the young girls would walk into the bar, and I would be sitting there listening to the conversations that these old men would have, and it was just nauseating. These girls would walk into the bar, some of them under 20 years old, and these men, well, it was a restaurant, so they weren't going into the bar. They had to walk by the bar. So yes, some of them were under 20. A lot of them were, well, they were all young compared to these men. Anyway, the point is, these men would talk about these women like they were show horses as they're walking by. Oh, I would do that one. Oh, you know, oh, that one has a girl, that one has a boyfriend. Oh, well, you know, like they even have a chance in hell. You know, or like they don't even stop to think that, would the girl do them? Hell no. Not unless you get her really, really drunk. And according to Donald Trump, that's not rape if you get her really, really drunk and then have sex with her without her consent. My point is, these people at the bar that would evaluate these women and talk about them and fantasize about doing these women, they're no better than Trump, and Trump is no better than they are. They were sleazy, dirty, perverted old men who got off on looking at girls' bodies and imagining themselves having sex with those women. The President of the United States, you know, I just can't imagine anybody at that bar talking like that about women as the President of the United States. Anyway, so I came to the conclusion that it's pointless to try to get that message through to him. He's 70 years old. He's just like the sleazy men that I saw at that bar who looked at women as objects and objectified them. And of course, it was only the beautiful women that they took notice of. They were the only ones that counted in that room, in that restaurant. They were the only ones that were worth looking at. So maybe I should talk to the Trump supporters, who are so many of them Christians. You criticize Bill Clinton's sex life, and you say that he's horrible. He's horrible. Bill Clinton is horrible. And it's like, okay. So you find that kind of behavior horrible, and yet you support a man who shows the same behaviors and possibly worse behaviors than Bill Clinton. How hypocritical is that? You criticize Clinton, but you support a man who's just as bad, if not worse. How hypocritical is that? And what is the message that you're sending to your children? That you can tolerate sexual assault on women? Because when he talks about going up and not even asking, just going up and kissing a woman and grabbing her by the pussy, that's sexual assault. And his wife is saying, oh, well, you know, they egged him on. Well, you know, I listened to that conversation, and he was the one leading it. There was nobody egging him on. He was leading that conversation, proudly boasting about how because he is special, because he's rich and powerful, he can do whatever he pleases, and he can go up and grab a woman, and he gets away with it because of who he is, and he's bragging about that. He's bragging that he can get away with sexual assault because of who he is. And we're supposed to tolerate that. We're supposed to tolerate it. So what we're saying to young girls is, if you're beautiful, it's okay for men to grab you. It's okay for men to grab you and assault you. That's just men. Men being men, boys being boys. Locker room banter. Well, you know, it's too bad it happened, but men will be men, boys will be boys. That's what we're saying to beautiful women. And if you try to complain about it, well, they're going to call you a liar. They're not going to believe you. What the man's story is always heard more loudly than what the woman's story is. The man's more credible than the woman. The man's more likely to believe than the woman. So you shouldn't even speak out, which is why so many of these women probably didn't speak out until there was a group of them, and then they could put their voices together, so maybe then they would be heard. Because they knew better than to try to speak out alone. Because what happens with women when they speak out alone? They get ridiculed and mocked. Well, maybe you were asking for it. What were you wearing? How many drinks did you have? Were you alone? Maybe you were asking for it. Maybe you sent out the messages that were encouraging him to do that. Maybe it's all your fault. And what is the message we're sending to plain girls? or overweight girls, or girls who just, they have never, there's just no hope for them to ever be beauty queens or beautiful or cheerleaders. I mean, we have a man who wants to be the president of the United States, and there are Christian adult people who support him. They support his mentality toward women. What are we saying to girls like this who are not perfect, who are not beautiful? That this man's attitude toward women is something to approve of, to support? That it's acceptable for less attractive women to be treated like shit, to be fired because they're not attractive enough, or maligned, called names, called fatty or ugly or dog or slob. It's okay to call women names who don't measure up to some kind of standard that apparently it's a crime to not obtain, to not be able to reach. It's a crime. It's something that you can ridicule and blame women for and even punish them for. And that's what he does. He punishes women who are not beautiful enough. He discriminates against women who are not beautiful enough. They get fired at his establishments. They get fired for simply not looking beautiful enough. Doesn't matter what their performance is. And we have grown adults walking around, Christians supposedly, approving of this man and wanting him to run the country. Imagine if he wins and he is running the country. What is that going to say? That the leader of our country is going to look at half the population of America as being, well, your real purpose on this earth is to be beautiful, and that's what all women should aspire to be as beautiful as possible. And if you can't, well, really, what good are you? What's the point of even being alive? Oh, and by the way, it's okay for men to grab you. It's okay for men to harass you in the workplace or anywhere else they feel like it, because, you know, boys will be boys. It's okay. This is the kind of person a bunch of adults in this country want running this country. What is that saying to women? What is that saying to plain girls? That they really are worth shit? That they really aren't worth anything unless they're beautiful? Which they can't be, because it's just, it's impossible for some people. And the abuse. How is it that Christians can give their support to somebody who talks the way this person talks? I'm sorry, but he's disgusting the way he talks, the way he refers to women, the way he puts women down, refers to blood coming out of wherever. That's just gross. The things that he says. Even before these tapes came out, long before these tapes came out, he was saying really disgusting things about women. Even agreeing to have his own daughter referred to as a piece of ass. No woman is a piece of ass. We are human beings. Half of the population of the human race are women. And what's funny is now women are finding their voice. They're speaking out. They're being independent. I saw some Trump supporter was on some news whatever, and she was blaming Hillary Clinton for the actions of Bill Clinton. And she said, they're one and the same. The news reporter pointed out, we're talking about Bill and he's not running for president, Hillary is. And this woman said, well, they're one and the same. They're married. They're the same person. like marriage takes away the woman's identity? Is that what Christianity teaches, that the woman doesn't really have an identity of her own anymore? When she gets married, she's just another aspect of him? She's just an extension of him? Like, she's not even really a person in her own right anymore? I think once upon a time when women first started being able to vote, they just parroted their husbands. But that's not the way it is anymore. Women have found their voice, and they say what they think, and they become strong, and they even run for president. But they vote with their own mind and from their own conscience, and they make their choice, and that it's not always agreeing with their husband's choice. So now this newest thing is, well, we should get rid of the 19th Amendment. Silence women. That's the answer. The women don't agree with the men, so we should silence them, so the men can have their way, and the women have no say over what happens to their country anymore. Sorry, that's not going to fly anymore. Women are not going to be silenced. They're not going to meekly go back to the kitchen. I can't even believe that some actual Republican women were saying, oh, well, yeah, take away the 19th Amendment. It's worth it to me to lose my right to vote if Trump can win. Really? After how hard women fought to have the right to vote? Which is funny that women had to fight at all. Why was that? Why is it always that women have to fight so hard just to have the same rights as men? Why don't we sit around and discuss taking away the rights of men since they don't agree with us? Why is it always women's rights that are on the chopping block? Oh, the women are making it so hard for men to have their way. Let's just take their rights away again. Yeah, we can just sit back and decide when we feel like giving them rights and taking away their rights. We have the authority to take away and give as we please. So this year, let's decide whether or not we'll let women continue to have a right over their own body, a right to have a say over their own body. This year, let's sit back and decide whether we're going to let women continue to vote or not. It's like they're doing women a favor. Well, maybe we'll let them, maybe we won't. We have the ability to give and take away as we see fit. Sorry. Women are actual citizens of this country, and our voices are just as worth something as a man's voices, and our opinions are just as valid as a man's is. And if a woman doesn't like the idea of having somebody running the country who is guilty of committing sexual assaults and has actually confessed to it on tape and even bragged about it, she has every right to check another name on her voter's pamphlet. If a woman doesn't like the idea of her little girl growing up thinking that it's okay and even something to admire when a man assaults a woman because the leader of her country is that way, and so that mother checks a different name on her voter's pamphlet, that's her right. I feel really bad about the Christian women in this country that are voting for Trump, who have been brainwashed to actually think, because of patriarchal religion, that a woman's place is in the home, and that a woman should that the man have authority over the house. Oh, go ask your father. These women who actually support Trump and actually are traitors against their own gender, they would rather see their entire gender lose their rights just so Trump can be president because God is working through him. No, Trump is a thief. Trump is a con artist. Trump is a pathological liar. He lies so much he doesn't even know the difference between reality and his lies. Trump is a pedophile. Trump is a peeping Tom. Trump is somebody who would deliberately walk into a room full of children to see them naked. And Trump is a pervert. can't keep his paws off women. No, that isn't somebody that I want to run my country. And you can bet that I don't approve of somebody who treats women who aren't beautiful like shit. I kind of grew up with that my whole life. And it's a hurtful thing to be on the receiving end of being treated like you're shit just because you're not as beautiful as somebody else. Everybody has a right to have a chance to love themselves and feel good about themselves and feel like they're special and that they have something of value to contribute to the world. There's more to a person than what they look like. And I don't think any little child should grow up thinking that this is an acceptable mentality toward anybody. Certainly not something you put on a pedestal and let run the country. So I'm going to exercise my hard-won right to vote that I very much appreciate. And I'm going to check a different name on November 8th. And if there's people at the polls trying to intimidate people, I don't care. And I don't care if my neighbors know that I'm not voting for Trump. I don't care. I'm not remotely threatened by bullies who want to intimidate. And have your little fucking Hitler wannabe run the country? No, I don't think so. Not only is he going to lose on November 8th, he's going to lose in a huge way. Because women do care about the future of women. Maybe not the brainwashed Christians who really actually walk around thinking women are less than men, but most women do care. And we do have a voice. And we're saying enough is enough.